Hello everyone, this is the homework video for Im1, homework number 29. So first 8 question is asking you to determine if the two triangles are congruent. And if they are, state how you know. Well, let's consider this, okay? So what do we have here? We know we have one arc here and one arc here. That means this angle, these two angles are equal in measure. So we have one pair of angle. And what else do we have? We have another pair of angles that are congruent. Okay, because they both have two arcs. So we have another pair of angles that are congruent. And then finally, we have a notch here. What does that mean? What does that mean? That means this length, whatever the length is the same as this length. Okay, so we're really talking about the side length of the triangle. So this is a side. Okay, so we're dealing with two pairs of angle and one pair of sides. Now notice that this side that is congruent is not in between the two pair of angles that are congruent. Okay, so if this was the side that was congruent, this would be ASA. But no, the side is outside of that. So this is going to be congruent by AAS. So it's AAS. And AAS is a congruence shortcut. Okay, so AAS congruence. What about this? Here we have one pair of angle. Okay, and then we have a notch here. That means we have the side that is congruent. This side and this side is congruent. So we have a side and we have an angle. What does this square mean? What does that square represent? It means this is a symbol for 90 degrees. And this is also a symbol for 90 degrees. So that means we have another pair of angles that are exactly same in measure. That means we have another pair of angle. Now this time, the side that is congruent is in between the two pairs of angles. So it is going to be ASA. I'm sorry, I should have written A here, shouldn't I? Because that is an angle measure. This arc is an angle. So the congruence theorem for this one is going to be ASA congruence. Alright, number 3. We have one notch here referring to this side being congruent. And then we have another pair of sides. And then finally the third pair. So we have 3 pairs of sides that are congruent, so it's going to be side, side, side congruence. What about this? We have here, we have one side here that is congruent to this side. We have another side that is congruent. And then we have an angle. So angle that is right in between the two sides that are highlighted or that are colored. Okay, so we have a side here and another side here, and the angle in between, this angle is right in between the two sides that are congruent. So this is side, angle, side. So this is going to be side, angle, side congruence. Okay, number 5. Okay, we have one pair of angles that are congruent and another pair of angles that are congruent. And then finally a side in between. So side is in between, so it's going to be, this is going to be the side that is congruent. So it's going to be angle and side and angle, because that side is squished between the two angle pairs that are congruent, so it's going to be angle, side, angle. What do we have here? We have a side with 3 notches and a side here. That's one pair of sides that are congruent, and another pair of sides that are congruent with 2 notches. And then finally we have an angle in between the two sides. Oh, angle. Oh, what do you notice here? Here the angle is in between, but here the angle is not in between. Okay, do they have the same angles that are congruent? It's not the same angle. This is in between. This is in between. But this one is not. This is in between or included, but this is outside, not in between. Okay, so this is not the same pair of angles in position wise, so that does not work. So this is actually not congruent. Alright, what about this? We have one pair of angle and another pair of angle. So we have an angle and another pair of angle here. 2 arcs means 2 arcs here. They match. And then third one is here. So we have 3 pairs of angles. Is angle, angle, angle a congruent statement? No, not congruent. Because AAA is not a congruence shortcut. Okay, so then what do we have here? We have one pair of angle here with 1 arc. So we have one pair of angle. Then we have another pair of angle. And then a third side that is outside, not the included side, but the side that is not included. So this is going to be angle, angle, side. This is angle here, and this is a side. So notice that the side is not squished between the two A's. It is outside of that. Alright, so now state what additional information is required in order to know the two triangles are congruent. Okay, so we know that we want SSS to be the rule. So we have 2 pairs of congruent sides. So that we have one pair here and we have another pair here. This is a side and this is a side. And so we have 2 pairs of sides. What else do we need? We need SSS, so we need a third pair. So we need this side to be congruent. Okay, so what other information is required? We need to know that YW, the side YW, is congruent to side WY. Okay, or line segment. This time we want ASA. So right now we have angle here, angle here. So we have angle congruence here. And we have a side congruence here. And we want another angle. So, but we want the side to be in between the 2 angles that are congruent. That means we need this angle to be congruent. Okay, so that the side that are congruent, side pairs that are congruent, is in between the 2 pairs of angles that are congruent. So we need angle S to be congruent to angle F. Okay? Alright, this time we want SAS. We have one side that are congruent, and then we have another side that are congruent because of the 3 notches. So, and notice that the A angle that we want that to be congruent is in between the 2 pairs of sides that are congruent. Okay, so what is the angle that is right squished between the 2 sides that are congruent? It's this angle here. So we need these 2 angles to be congruent, so we need angle M to be congruent to angle B. And then the last problem, we want AAS. So we have one angle here. So that's angle. And we have second angle here. Because they both have 2 arcs. And we want a side that is not in between the 2 angles to be congruent. So I could mark either this to be congruent, the one next to the blue, or I could have alternatively marked these 2 to be congruent. Either would have been fine, because whether you think of these 2 angles and a side, or these 2 angles and this side, that will be perfectly fine. Okay, so what is the side that we need to be congruent? We need XY. The line segment going from X to Y need to be congruent to B to C. So B, C. Okay, that's it for today. Thank you for listening.